Welcome to Wanna Be Clutter-Free, formerly Wanna Be Minimalist, the podcast for busy families who are tired of the chaos, fed up with being overwhelmed, and ready to enjoy life again. Each week, we talk about how to let go of the clutter so that you can focus on the things that actually matter. And it's not just physical clutter. We talk about the mental and emotional stuff too, because if it's holding you back, it's time to ditch it. I share what I've done in my own life to declutter, organize, and calm the chaos, but you won't just hear it from me. There are amazing guests too. It's practical, doable, and simple for those of us that want to be clutter-free. This is the Wanna Be Minimalist Show with Deanna Yates, episode number 45. On today's episode, we are having a conversation with Shannon Wolfe, a woman on her journey toward living a better life with less stuff. If you have ever struggled with the idea of calling yourself a minimalist or feeling imperfect, then stay tuned because we are having a real conversation today. And I won't spoil it, but it's filled with awesome advice that we can all relate to. Hey there, welcome back to the show. As always, I'm your host, Deanna Yates, creator of littlegreenbow.com and your resident wannabe minimalist. Today is all about being real, people. I find it so inspiring to connect with others on their journey toward living more like a minimalist every day, and that's what this episode embraces. I cannot tell you how many times I have looked at my life and felt like a fraud. Can you relate? I call myself a minimalist, but my home doesn't look like the magazines. So when you can connect with others that feel the same way, it really feels amazing. And today you get to be in on that conversation too. Shannon Wolfe is a mom and grandma, as well as a jewelry maker, music lover, book consumer, and yoga enthusiast. She says she's 95% whole foods plant-based and 5% junk food princess. I mean, how great is that description? She also created a super popular minimalism living group on Facebook called Minimalist Simple Living. You're in for a fun one today, and when you're finished listening, be sure to head over to littlegreenbow.com/45 to get the show notes for today's episode. And now let's get to our conversation. Hi, Shannon. Welcome to the Wanna Be Minimalist Show.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. I'm super excited to have you here today just to learn more about you and what has led you to kind of this lifestyle. So how about we start there? Why don't you tell me about what led you to minimalism or living a more simple life with intention?
You know, I stumbled on, I love to watch documentaries of all different kinds, and I stumbled on the minimalist documentary. And I think that's what got me going, which is what got a lot of people going. And then, you know, it kind of, when you watch that, then it kind of segues you into other things. And I came into the no spend, you know, the 6-month no spend thing. And and then it just kind of goes from there. And it segues into so much other stuff too, that you could just go on and on and on with it. But that was how. And I've watched the documentary actually a couple times. So I think you need that extra little push sometimes when you sort of forget and start falling back in your old ways. That was how.
Yeah, it's just kind of a motivation thing, right? Or it kind of just helps with your mindset, because I found that not a lot of people in my real life kind of live this lifestyle. And so sometimes it's easier to fall back into those old habits. And so maybe.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. Yeah. And I think we're all, I think, well, I don't know, I can't speak for all the minimalists, but for a lot of us, average people, I guess you'd say, I think it's just easy. It's easy. And I think even more now, like just stuck at home, get bored and, you know, you shop. Yeah. And you shouldn't be shopping because you don't need to be. So,
well, it's funny because for me, it actually has been the opposite. Being stuck at home. Well, I think we also had a little bit of a dip with work schedules. So my husband does freelance web development, or did do that. And he lost a big client because it was in the travel industry. So for us, we went on kind of a no spend freeze because we weren't going out. We weren't doing anything. And now we had less money coming in. So it's interesting to see how even the same kind of thing can even spark opposite, you know, realities or reactions.
Right.
So, but yes, I do know a lot of people have started shopping more. I mean, Amazon's killing it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of got back in because I did do that same thing right at first because I was home for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did kind of, I didn't know if I was going back. I mean, it was supposed to be a 2 week thing and didn't know if I was going back or not.
Oh,
So
wow.
I did cut back, but then as soon as I went back to work, I go to work, I go to the grocery store, if you have an appointment somewhere and home, and that's it. And so the rest of the time it's just like, but I have a neat little thing. And a lot of people do this is I will shop and either like on Etsy, add things to my wish list and Amazon to my wish list. Sometimes I'll put stuff in my Amazon cart. But I don't hit that buy button. I'll just let it marinate in there for a while. And actually 9 times out of 10, I don't purchase.
Oh, I love that.
I get that little shopping high, I guess you say. It kind of fills the time that I'm bored or whatever. But yeah, I don't do it a lot, but it is something that I do. That I'll put things in my cart or I just add them to my wish list. And then sometimes, I'll even go back in and revisit my wish list. And then I just delete everything in there. I was like, I don't know why I like that. I don't need that. What was I thinking? So,
oh my gosh, that's great.
Oh, well, it's silly, but it whatever, it passes the time. So
here's what's so funny is that you think that seems so small and trivial and silly, but that's brilliant. That's such an interesting mind shift because it does. Yes, sometimes we shop just because we're bored and we need something to do and we don't actually want the stuff.
Right.
So,
we just think we do.
Right. Oh my gosh. No. Fascinating. I think it's great. And I'm not much of a shopper. So I think it's a fantastic perspective to have for people that are shoppers and are wanting, something else to add or, some way to occupy that time that they can't do that. And I don't really have a good example for them. So bravo.
Well, and it makes you go back and it makes you stop and think a little bit too. I mean, I got on a tangent the other day about sports bras. I just wanted some different sports bras. And I found all these cute ones and I don't think I put them in my cart. I think I put them in my wish list. So I put all these in my wish list and I got thinking, I was like, you have enough. You wear the same ones over and over. You don't, what's the point of this? So I just went in and deleted them and whatever. But it was fun. Gave me something to do. Yeah. I don't have a real exciting life, so it works.
It's okay. I don't either.
Yeah. It's like, that was fun. That was an evening entertainment and it was cheap. It was really cheap.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, I love that. So before we kind of dive in and talk about something else, I want to ask, and I didn't prompt you with this one before, so apologies for that, but what would you say minimalism means to you? Like when people ask you that, or you try to tell people about how you're living or your lifestyle, what does it mean for you?
I think and I've heard it this way before. It's with intention. It's living with intention. And we don't need so much to make, we think things make us happy, and they really don't. And it's just like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? I want to live with intention. Oh. I don't think I've really thought about that.
No.
As you can tell.
No, that's okay. It's fine. Well, and like I said, I didn't prompt you with that one. So that one was kind of off the cuff and just kind of what came to you. But I think it's true because a lot of times when I say minimalism, or I get a little nervous about trying to tell people that I'm a minimalist, or I think of myself as a minimalist, because then I look around my house and I'm like, oh, but it doesn't look like the magazine or like what I think people think. And so then I almost feel like I'm going to be judged for it.
Right.
And
right.
So,
and you feel sort of fraudulent saying that. And I don't know. I don't think it's so much saying, I think because we like to put labels on everything.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say, I'm a mom and I'm a grandma and I'm a minimalist. Well, not really. I mean, I'm a mom and a grandma, but I'm trying to live minimalistically.
Yeah.
Am I perfect? Absolutely not. And anybody that says that they are, I'm going to call them out on it and say, I don't think so. But I think it's just, with me, it's making an effort, you know, and minimalism, you know, when you go into the environment, a lot of people go into, with the environment, go into veganism and all that kind of stuff too. And I'm not a vegan, but I do, I'm probably about 95%. You know, but I don't. Yeah. I mean, if my mom brings home a chicken enchilada and says, hey, you want half? I'm like, I'm hungry. Sure. But I try. And I think if everybody would just make a little bit of an effort, you can help the environment. You can help your health. You know, if you want to dive deep into, you know, the health benefits of whole food, plant-based living, that's a whole nother thing.
We can go, we'll have you back on the show. We'll go for that one.
Oh. But I don't know. I'm a fraud because I will eat that half enchilada, chicken enchilada, every now and again. So.
No, but there's this saying, and I'm going to totally butcher it, but it is that we need more people. We need a lot of people living imperfectly or doing something imperfectly with intention and thought and effort, instead of a few people doing it perfectly. And you'll just make a much bigger impact. And so, I mean, gosh, 95% is way better than, you know, a lot of people, or people that try it for 3 months and give up, or, you know, it's better to have that flexibility, I think, than it is to try to be so perfect, because like you said, nobody's perfect and it's impossible.
Right. And I try, you know, well, now they're not letting you take your bags into the grocery store, which is totally annoying. I actually got in trouble the other day. Tried to pass it off as a very large purse. And then I started putting my groceries in it. And the lady came over, I was at self-checkout, and she says, you can't bring that in there. And I said, well, I've been bringing them in here. Well, I was told the other day you can't. And I was like, okay, well, I won't next time. So, but that's a little bit of annoying. But, you know, I make a lot of my own products, you know, soap and toner, and, you know, it's something.
Right. Something is better than nothing. I am a firm believer of that, because like I said, we just need to try. If we all just tried a little bit, and just to live more of our like authentic self, not necessarily try just because somebody else wants you to, or says you should be, but just live. If we all live a little more authentically of how we want to, with intention, it really would make a big difference.
I agree. I agree.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's kind of go back onto our plan. This is going to be a fun conversation. So my next question was about this very active Facebook group that you started. And you were telling me before we started recording that you are now close to 22,000 people on this. You know, what led you to starting this group in the first place?
It was, you know, after watching the Minimalist documentary, then you start, you know, researching minimalism a little bit more. And I came across a no spend group, and I don't know if that was on Facebook or Pinterest stuff or what it was, but I said something on my Facebook about wanting to try one of these no spend. I think it was a 6-month no spend thing. And did anybody want to join in? Well, I had a couple of friends, and so I was like, well, let's start a group, and that's how it started. And then I like added my kids and my mom, and you know, people that I think that started with about 6 of us. And that's actually how it started, which is what makes it so nuts for the amount of people that are in there. And it's been 2 years. It was 2 years, like June 30th, I think, July 1st, something like that, when I started this. And I honestly, though, I don't care about the numbers. Yeah. You know, I've actually thought about taking it to a different direction too, and maybe kind of having little theme days, you know, Meatless Mondays. Anybody want to post some good, you know, Instapot recipes, and just do some topic things. But I don't know, we'll throw that around later.
Well, obviously something though that you've started with this group has really resonated and struck a chord with people. Because obviously a lot of people are interested in this topic and, you know, wanting to live a little bit more minimalistically. Sorry, that is a hard word to say.
It is a hard word.
We need a better word.
I know. This is like, is it minimalism or is it minimalistic? How do you say that? And it's like, don't get caught up on the details. It really is not that important.
It's not. But are there any lessons that you've learned from the group or from other people, that have really resonated with you? Or what are some of those favorite tips and things that have grown over the last 2 years?
I think that we've all started for different reasons. I think some people do it to become debt free. A lot of people just want to travel more. A lot of people do it for their mental health. So the different reasons why people journey into minimalism, I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right. We all have different paths that lead us to a very similar desire.
Right.
Yeah.
And in a sense, they're all kind of entwined because, as you know, when you start decluttering your area and you have a cleaner and tidier space, it is mentally calming compared to when you have a lot of clutter and chaos going on. And then, you spend less because you're not buying so much stuff. So you're saving money. And so then that money could be used to potentially have experiences and travel. So it all just kind of goes together.
It really does. Yeah.
But there may be some people that want to just, like me, I would love to travel, but it's important to me to have money in the bank, but not be like hyper focused on it.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about something that's helping me show up as my best self, hormone harmony. For any woman navigating the ups and downs of hormonal change, whether you're in your 20s or past 40, this is something you'll want to hear about. I started taking hormone harmony because lately I've been feeling off balance, I was snacking more, feeling sluggish, and just not like myself. I was pretty flat. And that's when I found Hormone Harmony. It's been a game changer. It's not only for those of us that might be hitting perimenopause, but for any woman who feels like their hormones could be more in sync. Did you know a bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds? Yep, it's that popular. And it's not hard to see why. This wonderful supplement is packed with adaptogens. These are science-backed herbal extracts that help your body adapt to stress and minimize those annoying hormonal fluctuations. So whether it's hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, or just feeling perpetually tired, Hormone Harmony addresses all of these symptoms gently and effectively. And for those navigating the tricky waters of perimenopause, it is nothing short of a lifesaver. The company behind Hormone Harmony, Happy Mammoth, is all about making women's health simpler and safer. Their products are sugar-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, non-GMO, and third-party tested to ensure the highest quality. And the best part? Women are reporting they feel like themselves again. If you're ready to start feeling like yourself again, I've got great news. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code WANNA at checkout. That's happymammoth.com with the code WANNA, WANNA, for 15% off your first order. Don't miss out on this incredible offer. Do you ever find yourself staring into your closet, feeling like you've got tons of clothes but nothing to wear? Well, I've discovered a fabulous solution that's perfect for us busy women. Armoire. Armoire offers high-quality, unique brands tailored just for you. All it takes is a quick 5-minute style quiz, and voila! You get a personalized closet from which to choose. The best part, these stylish outfits are delivered straight to your door in just a couple of days. I just returned from a podcast conference and Armoire saved the day when it came down to what to wear. I wore these super cute wide leg jeans from Paige to the day portion of the conference, and that night I wore cropped wide leg vegan leather pants and an asymmetrical striped sweater. I got compliments all night and had people mentioning my outfit the next day. Then I was able to simply send it back for something new. No clutter, no fuss, no special laundry. And it's not just about looking good, it's about feeling good too. Armoire is all about sustainable fashion, so you can stay trendy without the waste. Plus, it's women-founded and led, supporting women designers and aligning perfectly with our values of empowerment and community. Right now, my listeners can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off their first month. That's up to $125 off. Just visit armoire.style/wanna. That's armoire.style, ARMOIRE.style/wanna to get up to 50% off your first month. And never worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today.
Well, I resonate with everything you just said because it is similar. So I think my husband and I came at it from more of a perspective of we wanted the freedom to not be tied down, which led us to traveling, which led us to, of course, buying less because we were focusing on different things. And now that I'm a mom and I've just got 9 million things going on at any given time, I love the freedom of just not so much chaos. Like
Right.
being able to look at my house and not think, oh, it's a mess, I've got to clean, or mental burden, all of that, so.
Yeah. I remember, I remember, and I was actually thinking about this the other day when I was married and my kids were home and growing up, my weekends off were spent cleaning the house, the big house from top to bottom, grocery shopping, cleaning the vehicles, doing that. It just wasn't a whole lot of time for fun, and then, they got older and they were in sports and we were doing all that kind of stuff. A lot of stuff got kind of kicked to the wayside and you weren't as good a housekeeper and then it bothered you. And so I was thinking about that. I was like, all the time that I spent just, not to say that you shouldn't clean your stuff up because you should, but there's other things that, make the time for it different. I do things different now. Instead of spending entire days or entire weekends just busting it, going 90 with my hair on fire, I'll break it down. I'll mop the floor and then I'll go read for an hour. And then, I'll throw a load of laundry in. And then I might go to the grocery store. Maybe before I go to the grocery store, if the weather's nice, I'll stop at the park and I'll walk for an hour and then go to the grocery store and then come home. And of course, then putting all that away is just a job in itself. So it's just breaking it down and still having time to do the things that you like to do.
Yep. Good perspective. And it's a mental shift and things have just changed a little bit. You're still doing a lot of the same things, but how you do them is different.
Right. Yeah. My weekends off are Tuesday, Wednesdays. Those are my weekends. I work Thursday through Mondays. So last week, Tuesday and Wednesday, I felt very unproductive, but I enjoyed every bit of it. But I still did, my laundry that I had to do for the week because I wear uniforms. I food prep for the week because if I don't eat healthy. That's just how it is. But I have to remind myself to keep it simple because I can go stupid on the groceries and on, I'm going to make this and I'm going to make that. And then I'm one person. I can't eat all that, and there's only so much, there's only so much room in the freezer. So, last weekend was it was really just hit and miss. And I enjoyed every bit of it. No. And I really backed off social media for about 2 weeks. But I also backed off on working out and drinking my water. And so I just took a break. And it was fine. And it was great. But yesterday was Monday. And I was like, okay, it's a Monday. You should really start your week with a workout. And then today it's like, okay, it's September 1st. This is a new month. Let's set some small goals and see what you can achieve. Because I think when you get to, like me, you get close to your goal, you sort of stop and self-sabotage. And that's exactly what I did. I'm just like 2.5 pounds or 3.5 pounds away from my goal weight. And I was killing it. And then I just stopped. But you know what? It was what I needed. Yeah. So, and I have no idea what the question was and why I went there.
That's okay. That's what these conversations are all about. It is perfectly fine. I think we were just talking about mental shift and how you still do a lot of the same things, but you just do them differently now. Yes. And you're also letting yourself off the hook when you know you need those mental shifts and you need a little bit of downtime. And okay, so maybe you take a step back, but you just know it's a moment and it's not it's not the end all be all. It's not how things are going to be forever. You're just saying like, no, I just needed a little bit of a break right now to give myself that mental shift or capacity or whatever it is. And then you can hop back into getting back on your goal that you set for yourself.
Yes, exactly. And I think a lot of people go, little too much self-pampering, you know what I mean? That turns into a lot of excuses. And,
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes was like, be stubborn about your goals and flexible about your methods. Just, you can't make excuses all the time.
Sure. Absolutely. No,
You're not going to meet your goals if you do.
Yeah. Yep. I love that. Stubborn about your goals, but flexible about
your methods.
Your methods. Okay. I love that.
Oh, and I don't know who wrote it.
I'm
a big quote girl.
I will Google that. That's a good one. Okay. So this summer you wrote about helping your parents clean out their closet.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that? What are the tips you have for people that have found themselves in that?
So I actually live with my parents. So it's their home. I have 3 rooms upstairs. I have my bed, well, count the bathroom, my bedroom, bathroom, and I have a yoga room and a craft room. Before I started minimalism, one of the little rooms was the junk room. So that was a goal for me, was to clean out that room so that I could have a yoga room. Now I have it and it's great and wonderful. And I live upstairs, and my area up here is quite a bit different than the downstairs, but it's their home. It's not my home, it's their home. So, I think my mom she's really had some serious health challenges. And it was actually, even though it was hard for me to be home from work when it was actually really good that I was, because it was a time that I was needed to help, with her care, and to be here and just help do things around the house too for my stepdad. But she's always saying, oh, I need to clean out my closet, or typical, like everybody, the way I used to be, which I'm not anymore, is that we pack away our seasonal clothes, and we have tubs or storage chests or whatever is seasonal clothes. And she wanted to switch over to her summer clothes, and she said she needed to go through stuff, and she had lost quite a bit of weight. And we just happened to have a day, and I knew I was going back to work, and I was like, let's do this. And she just sat in the chair, and I pulled things out of the closets, and typical of her generation, the amount was a lot. And I would say, okay, we have 2 red shirts. Which one do you really like? And so I would get her to kind of pare down that way. We ended up with her stuff. We ended up with about 8 big garbage bags. 1 for my stepdad. I know he didn't have a lot. 1 for my stepdad. And then it kind of motivated me to go back to my closet for visit 3,782 but that's okay. But it so I added another one to it. So it was actually difficult for her. She got a little hyper focused on the money that was spent. And I kept telling her, I was like, this money is gone. You're not going to get it back. And, I'm guilty of this too. I've things went out the door that had tags on it, and I think a lot of people do that. So that was hard for her, I think, to get past the money that the waste of money. And I said, well, it's gone. We're not going to get it back. And we just move along. And I had to remind her too that she doesn't live the life that she used to live. She worked in a kind of a corporate type, she worked in like a credit union or something, and they socialized a lot when she was married. Before, there was a lot of parties, and there was high heels and fancy clothes, and where she, when she worked, it was, fancy clothes. I mean, she still works, bless her heart. They run 2 home businesses, but it's like your lifestyle has changed. You don't live this lifestyle anymore. We're all about the leggings and the comfy tees and, and the flip-flops. But I did have to back off because she had 2 great big full drawers of socks. She ended up with 1 full dresser drawer of socks. To me, I felt like she could have went down 75% more. But you know what? They weren't my socks, and it wasn't my decision. So I just put the socks back, and it'll be her decision when and if she ever decides to do that. My stepdad didn't really have a lot to say. My mom pretty much made the decision for his stuff because she knew, well, those pants don't fit him. And, he's got 3 pairs of black pants, and those, he never wears those. He always wears these. So let's get rid of those. And so he didn't, but I would never throw away or discard or donate or whatever, anything that didn't belong to me. Mm-hmm. So he had a ton of jeans in his closet, and I pulled those more than me. I mean, this man had a lot of blue jeans, and I pulled them all out of the closet, and I was like, there they are. You decide. Because my mom was like, he only wears like 2 pairs. And I was like, well, he's going to have to decide what, and it took him a little bit, but he did it. And I would like to think that he likes his nice, limited, organized closet now, but I don't know. Made me feel good.
Well, I was going to ask, so, I mean, obviously you said there you had to back off. So you have to take your cues from the person you're helping. And sometimes there are emotional attachments to things. It could even be socks. You never know, that really could surprise you along the way. So we do have to be a little flexible there. But I was going to ask, have they mentioned it since? Because I think it's been a few months now.
No, not really. I mean, before we found minimalism, or at least for me, we lived a life of excess. Mm-hmm. And she's no different. Yeah. So, and I'm no different.
Well, and I don't come from a family of minimalists, so, I definitely understand. And I think sometimes it's just easier to add to instead of take away. And so we just get into this mindset of doing what's the easiest. And if there's room in your house or in your closet, it's just easier to put stuff in instead of take stuff out.
It is. And I did remind her, I don't know that I necessarily said it this summer when we were doing her closet, but I had said it to her before, kind of like when I started my journey was when my grandma passed away. Mm-hmm. She lived next door to me, and my mom lived about an hour away. And my mom was so overwhelmed trying to go through, because grandmas, bless their heart, saved every scrap of paper, every card that anyone has ever gave them. She literally hid money behind pictures in frames. So you had to take every picture out of the frame, because you never knew, or there might be like a really super old, cool family picture, behind that picture that you didn't want to get rid of. But it was extremely overwhelming. And my mom would come and try to clean out my grandma's house. And she would just get so overwhelmed that she just walked in circles. And so I said, well, here, let's do this. I will go over after work, and I worked at home. I did daycare. So I said, I will go over every night after work and pick one spot, whatever I felt like I could get through. Mm-hmm. And because she saved everything, that had, Social Security numbers and birth dates and all that kind of stuff on it, you had to be very careful of where you were discarding stuff. And that's pretty much how we got through it. And I had a yard sale, and actually I think I just gave most everything away because I just wanted it gone. Yeah. But and so I reminded her about that. And I was like, not only when someone passes away, you have your grief from the loss, but then you have this huge overwhelm of their possessions. And, it's a lot. The grief is a lot. And then you get the possession, and it's too much. It's too much. And I reminded her of that. And so I think that kind of helps her kind of move along and get rid of things. And she has let me get rid of things, a lot of the nicky-nacky stuff through the house. But, that's kind of with me too. I don't want to leave any, all this junk for my kids. I might love it. They don't. Yeah. I'm a big Longaberger basket person. And I still have all my baskets, and I love them, and I'm not getting rid of them. And my oldest daughter she says, well, when you die, she goes, I'm just going to sell them. And I was at that particular time, I was like, the hell you are, I'll leave them to somebody else. But now I don't care. I love them. They serve a purpose. They're pretty. Most of them, thank goodness, are empty. I really don't care. about them that much now.
Yeah, sadly, we've gone through some of that family loss. And so I do think that really does change a lot of your perspective. My father-in-law passed away when he was 63. And, my mother-in-law had a whole house of stuff, that she was having to deal with and go through. And, and there is that grief and it was unexpected. So, there's just a whole nother gambit of stuff, but I think it has shifted a lot of our minds of what is important in life.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yes.
If there's any silver lining, it is that it's focusing now on what's important instead of the stuff. But it's hard. It's, sometimes this is not an easy life. And those are those kinds of moments where, just do the best you can. So again,
right.
we move forward and do the best we can with what we've got and give people grace.
I'm Margaret.
And I'm Amy.
And together we host the podcast, What Fresh Hell? Laughing in the Face of Motherhood.
Margaret, I would say you're sort of a where are my keys kind of mom.
Correct. Sometimes a where are my kids kind of mom. Well, you're, Amy, more of a we were supposed to leave 35 seconds ago, mom.
I mean, touche. In each episode of What Fresh Hell, we come at a topic from our usually completely opposite perspectives. I bring the research.
And I bring kind of the gimlet eye. Like, is that research really going to work, people?
And almost 10 million downloads later, we're still laughing.
We also talk to experts in the parenting field, plus parents with stories we can all learn from.
We make each other laugh, we challenge each other's assumptions, and we have what we think is the best parenting community on the internet.
Check out What Fresh Hell? Laughing in the Face of Motherhood wherever you listen to podcasts.
Absolutely. That is and you need to give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
I think it's easy with the whole, how can I say I'm running this huge minimalist group and I'm not minimalist at all. Have you seen my craft room? Here I've had this open for, this group going for 2 years and I've yet to get to the basement. And I know I have stuff down there. I mean, I've purged, it's funny because you have those Facebook memory things that pop up and stuff. And the ones that pop up all the time, is like purging. And I'm just like, I've been doing this my whole life. I just didn't really grasp the whole concept of it, I guess.
Yeah, you didn't label it. Yeah, makes sense. When people go through these big purges or these big decluttering things, do you have any tips on what to do with all the stuff? I get asked that a lot, and I'm sure you do too.
That is big. And I think, a lot of people, oh my gosh, I imagine that Goodwill and Salvation Army and all those are just because that's what a lot of people were doing while they were in quarantine, while they were in lockdown. But I wanted to not do that if I could. Not to say that I'm 100% perfect and nothing ever goes to Goodwill or Salvation Army, because it does. There are just things that you cannot donate to certain places. But I found a domestic abuse shelter. It's a little bit of a clip from me, and you have to call that day and find, it's kind of a little pain, but it's worth it. And I take the majority of all my clothing and stuff there. And then after the first time I went there, they gave me a list. And then it's like, oh gosh, they take household stuff too, because they have to, a lot of these women, and I don't know if there's men that go through that program or not, but have to set up house and they have nothing. They don't have jobs, so they have to go to job interviews. So they were taking jewelry and purses and scarves. I mean, not just your regular like clothing stuff. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that. And then a lot of them have children. So they took, bibs and puzzles and toys. And so a lot of my stuff has gone there. There is a free site, which I'm sure a lot of communities have. I wish we had one of those buy nothing groups. We don't have one here, but I did find a county free site that people would come on there and they would say, most of them were looking for specific things, but you could post if you had something just to give away. I mean, it's the same concept of just putting it out on your curb and putting a free sign on it, but you just do it through a Facebook group.
Yep.
And I gave away, oh my gosh, back in the day, you're probably too young, but back in my day, it was home interior.
Okay.
And so I did go down in the basement and do some. And I had saved, when I moved from my home to my mom's home, a lot of my home decor was downstairs in the basement. And so when I started this, and I was getting rid of, oh my gosh, shelves and TV stands and dressers and all these, what I thought was pretty home interior stuff, but way outdated. And I put it on this free site. And was it worth a lot of money? Yes. But that time it takes to sell stuff is not what I want to do. I've sold very little. I've given most everything away. And I've had, when you have a young mom or something that comes and it's just, she's just getting her first apartment, her income is very limited. It's very gratifying. They're very excited to get your things. And I like that. I like that feeling.
Yeah, there's definitely a rush. It's funny that you mentioned the Buy Nothing group. I literally have like 15 things sitting on my porch right now with other people's names labeled on them for people to pick up, because I love my Buy Nothing group. But I want one,
but I don't want to start one.
No.
I don't want to start one.
No, and you have to be very careful that you don't actually look at it, because I went through that for about a week where I was like, ooh, what's posted on the Buy Nothing group?
Oh.
I'm like, just because it's free doesn't mean it's crap you need, Deanna. Like, stop it.
Right.
So now I'm like, okay, I'm getting through almost, I think I just have one more bin of stuff. And then I think I'm going to take a break from it, because I find myself just mindlessly scrolling through the group and being like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Oh, I wonder, and I'm thinking, we don't need this crap. I didn't need it before I got on here. I don't need it now. So,
right. Oh, look, that's that table I gave away. I really missed that. I've missed very little.
Me too.
I've missed very little. I've had really some very little, tiny, small regrets on some things I've gotten rid of. But I just remind myself, well, you can't get it back. So there's no point in dwelling on it and move along.
Right. One of the stupidest things that I think of that I miss is like this. I had a pink sombrero. We got married in Mexico. And this pink sombrero that the girls surprised me with, we went out dancing like the night before the wedding. And I got rid of my pink sombrero. And for some reason, that's the one thing that sticks in my head. I don't need it. It doesn't make my life, less. But for some reason, that's like the one little thing I can think of when I regret something. So, I mean, really, anybody listening, you won't really regret anything. My life is fine without this pink sombrero. And I can't think of anything else that I've given away that I regret. So
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. And I think too, like you have to kind of think outside the box. And I've learned, from some of the group members on stuff, I've never thought of sending DVDs to nursing homes. They have to watch the same movies over and over, if they have a movie night or whatever. And I thought that was brilliant.
That is brilliant.
And there was another one, blankets and towels and things like that to the pet centers, the rescue centers. That's great. And they're so appreciative. I did give a lot to family or friends too, but I did give all my DVDs to my stepsister-in-law and my stepbrother. And I do regret that a little bit. Every once in a while, in fact, I thought about it yesterday. I thought, wow, I wish I had those movies back. Maybe I should ask her if they still have them, are they using them, and can I have them back? And then it's like, no, you have Netflix. If you want to watch a movie, you can pretty much find anything that you want and stream it. Then I don't have to dust it. It's good. It's like, let it go. That is a regret, but it'll be fine.
There's another alternative. We can move past it and do something else instead. But it is funny, like the random little things. But there's not much. And I've gotten rid of a ton of stuff. So I don't want my pink sombrero to hold anybody back, or your DVDs. Maybe find like a little mini one or something to
There you
remind
go.
me of
Did
it.
you? Yeah. Oh, that's the thing
Yeah.
too. People take pictures of stuff. I that doesn't do anything for me. If I don't have it present with me, that I need a picture of it, because I'm constantly deleting all my pictures anyway. And that's another to your digital content. Oh my gosh, we could just go on forever with all the stuff. I deleted. What did I do? I left probably about 10 groups this morning on Facebook. Yeah.
Wow.
I got on there and went to my group and was doing what I had to do there. And then I was just getting so many notifications of these different groups.
Yep.
It's like, there's too much.
Yep.
It's just too much.
I do the same where, you go, you're like, okay, everything's fine. And then there's just like one little domino and you're like, okay, I can't. And then you're like, okay, goodbye. Or get rid of it. I definitely go through those spurts too. I did that with my email recently. I just find myself deleting the same emails like day after day or week after week. And I'm like, what am I doing? Just unsubscribe.
I know. Kohl's. I mean, you're afraid you're going to miss some money if you don't keep the Kohl's coupons. I haven't been in Kohl's in a year, probably, but I don't know why I could. And I actually did think about this morning too, was doing that. But that was one of the first things that I did, was the shopping, the shopping apps, and a lot of the email notifications and stuff was unsubscribe and then send it to the junk and then hope it doesn't get back through again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it does. Eventually it does again.
I know.
But I try to stay on top of it. I know a lot of people oh my gosh, they'll start their journey and they talk about their digital downsizing and stuff. And they'll say, I've got 3,000 or 10,000 emails sitting in, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I would completely delete that email account and start over. I would not even deal with that.
I can't handle it. My emails that are in my inbox are ones that I am going to respond to, have to do something on, or something. I cannot have that little notification that's like, my husband's like, oh, I've got like 1,400 emails. And I'm like,
oh yeah, no.
You're driving me nuts.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I would have to delete that account and completely start over. Yeah. So, I do stay on time. And it just takes me, not even a minute.
Right.
And I'll do it a couple times a day. I'll check my email in the morning and then it's delete everything that's not there. And then I'll go in and I'll empty my spam folder too, because I can't even stand it all sitting over there too. It just, I'm mental, but that's okay.
It's okay. We're kindred spirits in this. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just like the funniest things that bother me.
Me too.
I'm a weird person too. I don't like trash in the trash can. That irritates me.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, I can't. My trash cans have to be empty. And I'm like that with my text messages too. I have to keep those. I have to keep those cleaned out too. If somebody sends me a picture of, the girls send me a picture of grandbabies or something, and I just save it. Huh. I delete everything.
Never even thought about that, but that's interesting. Oh no, now I have to go revisit my text messages.
Yes, and the same with the messenger messages too. Oh yeah,
good point.
That gets to be much too.
Well, my group's not as popular as yours, so I don't have so many messages. So I want to ask, what is something, I think we've talked about a few things that maybe you do that most people don't consider, but can you think of anything that's something you do in your life that could benefit others that they just don't even think about?
Decluttering is one thing. Okay, we can all go through, and I mean, I've done it for years. Declutter, purge, clean, organize, the whole gamut. But if we do not address our consumerism, it's just a cycle that just goes round and round and is never ending. It's really easy to say, don't buy anything. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to say it, but it's not that easy to do if you don't address the reasons why, like we talked before about being bored or lonely, or you think that it's going to fulfill something in you that's missing. And if you don't address your consumerism and why you buy and do the things that you're never going to get anywhere. It's just a vicious circle. You're going to go round and round with it. And I've done it for years. I posted not too long ago. I don't know if you saw it or not. I thought it was the funniest thing. And it was from another group. And then I asked them for permission to repost it, where they had a picture of a storage tub that we all use, those Rubbermaid storage tubs. And she called it a clutter coffin. And I thought that was hilarious. And I was just like,
true.
I was like, oh my God, that is hilarious. A clutter coffin. That's exactly what it is. And, you know, when I had kids at home, and we had them everywhere. And I still haven't, you know, there's a few down the basement, but like I said, I haven't been to the basement yet. And I do store my, my yarn in there and some other stuff, but I do have it. But I thought that was really cool. But one thing that I think I'm like super happy about is that I don't have those for seasonal clothes anymore. All my clothes are out, hanging in the closets or in drawers or whatever. So I don't have any more of those little clutter coffins anymore, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Oh gosh, there is so much wisdom there that you talked about though with the consumerism, because you're right. If you declutter 100 items and you go out and you shop and you bring 100 back in over the course of the next month or so, you are exactly where you started.
Right. And it's never ending. I did do the, you know, for a while, I did the one in, one out thing, you know, and I did do that for a while. And I don't kind of really do that anymore, but that's where it's time for me to get back and revisit some of the articles that really resonated with me, and listen to more podcasts and watch more documentaries so that I can refocus. And I think that's important. I think you can easily get away from it and fall right back into your old ways if you aren't constantly trying to revisit it.
Right. And definitely once you've had some of those mental shifts, like we talked about, of like, okay, well, I'm shopping. And like you said, okay, so I'm doing this little hack where I'm shopping because I'm bored, but I know I'm shopping because I'm bored. So I won't actually buy any of the things. There are two steps there, and one can be totally beneficial, and then the other, you don't necessarily have to have that second part where you actually hit purchase. So I think that's such an interesting way of just having a slight shift that makes a big change.
Right. Yes. And too, you know, you have to, like we talked about earlier, about you have to give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
You really do. You just have to give yourself some grace. I think there's a big misconception, and this was, I can't remember who wrote it, but there is no there to get to. I think that people think, you know, if I just get rid of everything and I paint my walls white and I buy, you know, a white chair and no rug and maybe a lamp, that I'm going to be happy. And there's just no there to get to. It really is a life journey. And we're all going to stumble, and we're all going to fall, and we're all going to buy something that we shouldn't have bought, and we're going to kick ourselves for it. And then we're going to move on.
No, so good. This has been such an awesome interview, Shannon. I really appreciate you taking the time. So I want to end with people knowing where they can find you, because if they resonated, I want them to be able to connect with you. So tell them about your group, which I'm a part of and I love.
It is called Minimalist Simple Living. Minimalist Simple Living. I don't even know the name of the darn thing.
And so we'll link to it, because I know there's like a symbol in the middle.
Minimalist Simple Living with a little squiggly in between.
We'll link to it so people can join.
You know, I have an Instagram. I maybe post on there once every 6 months, maybe.
So, but my favorite way to end each interview is with 3 rapid fire questions. And so the first one is, what has been your favorite simple pleasure this week?
I have read a ton, and I grew my first microgreens.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty stoked about that. So.
Totally. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love that. And second question, what is the best advice about minimalism or intentional living that you've ever received?
You know, before this journey, and this made me reflect a little bit. I had to go way back because my grandma passed away many, many years ago. And I will remember it to this day. She told me, you need to slow down. So makes me a little teary.
Yeah.
So when I catch myself, and we all do it, hurrying too much, I'm taking on too much on my plate, bouncing from here, bouncing there. I do remember what my grandma said to me was, you need to slow down. So that was big.
That's such a good one. Question number 3, what is making you happy right now? So let's go from that little bit of emotion. And what is making you happy right now or in this season of your life?
I think it's a little bit of a struggle right now, like it is, for everybody. I'm a big count your blessings person. It's just about being grateful and being healthy or trying to be healthy and, the health and happiness of my family and my friends. And I'm getting ready to start sprouting today. So I'm pretty stoked about that too.
Oh, all right.
That'll make me happy. They're good for you. They're super, super good for you. And it's a way you grow things at home. They're more sustainable, and you don't have little or no packaging, which is awesome for the environment.
Absolutely.
So I'm pretty stoked about that. So
Very
that's a whole new season for me.
And that's why I love to say the season, because it does change. My life is super different now than it was a couple of years ago, which is way different than it was 5 years before that. And it is just these seasons that we go through. And so, Shannon, thank you so much for joining me today on the Wanna Be Minimalist show. This has been awesome.
Thanks for having me. And I'm glad that I said yes.
Yes.
I was a nervous wreck.
Well, you did great.
It.
And like I said, I mean, it's just so refreshing when people hear real stories from real people that are living this way and making these conscious decisions every day, because yes, it is. I go through that too, where I feel like a fraud a lot of the time, but I am doing the best I can and making those decisions. So
100%. I think that's all anybody could do, is just do the best that you can.
Yep.
And the way you do it is probably going to look different from the way that, George next door does it. And that's okay.
You guys, everybody, check out the group. Shannon's got some amazing people in there, and I just love being part of that community as well. And, it's a journey. So we'll just leave it on that. Thanks, Shannon, so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We could have talked for hours. There was so much good stuff she had to share with us, but I particularly love the part about finding happiness in living with less stuff and how we do not have to be perfect to make an impact or change our lives for the better. If you're on board with that idea, I hope you will join us for deeper conversations in both of our Facebook groups. I will link to those in the show notes, and you can find them on my website at littlegreenbow.com/45. Again, thanks to Shannon for saying yes and being a guest on the Wanna Be Minimalist show. I love her perspective and think we can all learn a lot from just doing the best we can. That just about wraps it up for today's episode. Don't forget you can get a transcript for today's show and links to the Facebook communities at littlegreenbow.com/45. Once again, get all the show notes and the links for everything we talked about today on my website at littlegreenbow.com/45. But before I go, I just want to take a minute to thank you for listening to this podcast. I know that your time is limited, and it means the world to me that you choose to spend some of it with me. So if you have anything you'd like to share with me, I'd love to hear it. Let me know what you enjoyed the most from the show and if you had any big takeaways, or send me your questions. Feel free to tag me on Instagram stories so I don't miss it. You can also subscribe to be notified of new episodes wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts. And please feel free to leave me a review if you've enjoyed the show so more people can find us and enjoy the benefits of a minimalist lifestyle. And next week, be sure to join me when I will be talking about the differences I see between decluttering, minimalism, and organizing. And yes, it's inspired by the super popular show, Get Organized with the Home Edit. If you haven't watched it, don't worry, I binged it for you so you can get up to speed. It's gonna be good and you will not want to miss it. I'll see you next week.